I'd like to welcome everyone here to American Dairy Association's Northeast virtual farm tour at Cow Comfort Inn Dairy in Maryland. And it is a beautiful sunny day today, which is pretty amazing considering in upstate New York it was not as warm. So without further ado, I will pass it off to Katie to kick off our tour.
All right, well, thank you, Emma. Welcome to Cow Comfort Inn Dairy. And our motto here is where cows enjoy their stay. And just a quick introduction, my husband David and I, which David actually, can we get a quick peek maybe? So he's still working, so I can do this, so I can bring the farm to you guys. So welcome again. I'm gonna let him get the four-wheeler out of here a minute. This is farm life.
We love the live action shots.
Yeah, this is live, right? So anything can happen. So here at Cow Comfort Inn Dairy, we have a total of about 800 cows. And 370 of those we milk twice a day, every single day. And so dairy farming is a 365-day-a-year job. Like the last Christmas I had off, I was 8 years old, really. Because when you grow up on a dairy farm and you are old enough to take care of things, you take care of those cows before you take care of yourself. So since I've been 8, I haven't opened Christmas presents until lunchtime. So cows always come first. So welcome to our calf pen. And by the way, my husband and I, we both grew up on dairies. We both were third-generation dairy farmers, and now we're first. So we built Cow Comfort Inn Dairy from the ground up. This is our calf pen. I like to call it the calf palace. It's really like a nursery. And so these girls in here are about 2 to 3 weeks old. And you can see they're just chilling out. They love the sunshine. We have fans going, even though it's not super hot. That is for ventilation purposes, so that we have really nice air flowing through the barn. You'll see the ball hanging in the middle. That's for their entertainment. They like to play with it a lot. So they kind of, swing it back and forth. That calf there is actually beside the ball. She is a mix, but she's like a red and white Holstein. So we have different breeds here, but you see them, most of them are all brown. Those are Jersey calves, Jersey cows. This is a group pen, by the way. So we're gonna actually start over here. Calves, when they're first born, they start and we put them in what we call these calf dividers. So this is super important, and you'll see this calf here, she has a calf jacket or a calf blanket. Every calf gets one when it is a little cooler out. Calves are born without an immune system. Humans are born with an immune system. Calves are not. So we need to make sure that they are getting the top-notch care that they deserve. So a lot of people ask us, okay, well, why aren't they with mom? And if we pan up here to the pasture, these are actually all their moms. These are what we call fresh cows. And so they're, obviously you can see that they're enjoying life. They're not crying for their baby. So they are not beef cows. There's a big difference between beef and dairy cows. Dairy cows, we let the calf with mom for about a few hours, let her lick her off. Calves can stand within the first hour of birth. And the reason why they are in our nursery, while they're in the calf palace, is so that we can get them up and going, so we can get their immune system revved up. It's actually dangerous to leave them with mom, because I have witnessed in my 30-some years of dairy farming, cows rolling over and killing their babies, accidentally stepping on them. And honestly, sometimes cows just aren't good moms. That's the truth. So we bring them here and we give them awesome care. They get colostrum, which is mom's milk. And by the way, mom only has colostrum for the first 24 to 48 hours. After that, it turns to regular milk. So we can make sure that these girls are getting what they need when they need it. And just to show you here, this is a calf bottle. And this is a 6-pint bottle, so almost a full gallon. And so they get a full one of these right when they're born. Calves are anywhere, these jerseys are about 50 pounds when they're born. I've actually delivered up to 120-pound calves. Now that's a different breed. But as you can see, it's a pretty big bottle. A nipple just like a baby bottle, obviously on a really big size. So they get 2 of these a day. They also have fresh water and feed all day long, all day long. So they're never without food, and they get vaccinations just like humans do to protect them against any type of disease. We have protocols here, every dairy farm does, to make sure that our animals are in tip-top shape all the time. As we go down, the younger they are. You'll see that they have collars on them. And so that gives us a number until they get an ear tag. An ear tag is just like an earring. Now you'll see the yellow stuff in their stalls, that is straw. And straw is a very good incubator for the calves. So it keeps them nice and warm. They like to make a hole in it, like they like to burrow down in it. Every time that calves are moved out of here, we power wash these dividers. This little one was born this morning. So as you can see, she's not so sure what to do with the world yet. So we're excited to be able to show you that. So over here is another group pen. Now these girls have been weaned, which means they're no longer on milk. And we have what we call robotic calf feeders in here. So they can go in that white station over there. They can go in there. They all have a computer chip in their ear. And that tells us how much milk they're drinking, because they can drink milk anytime they want to during the day. So it mimics nature. So these girls, like I said, are weaned, so they're no longer on milk. So they're a little older than the first group pen. So once they graduate out of the individual stalls, they come into this pen, and it's much like kindergarten. The whole reason we have these group pens is so that the calves learn to socialize with each other. And there is what we call a pecking order. I'm not lying. The cows figure out who is queen bee, who is the boss cow, from a very young age. So by doing this, research has shown that one, calves actually are smarter when they learn how to get along with others at a younger age. And so as we go down here, this pen, these are our oldest in this calf barn. These girls have been off milk for a while, and this is important. So our calves are only on milk for about 8 weeks, and this is super important because, sorry about that, lost my train of thought. So
I actually have a quick question for you, Katie, before you move on.
Okay.
A question came in. Why do you need to know how much they are drinking?
Oh, that's a good question. So one, we need to make sure that they're not overeating, because calves can overeat and bloat and die. So, we don't want a dead calf. And the other part is we want to make sure that they're getting enough. So when we put them in on the robotic feeders, we need to make sure that they're at least getting that 2 gallons a day. Most drink more than that. They're hogs. They love to eat, and we will give them as much as they want to eat all day. So it's really important. It's a really good tool for us to manage, to make sure that everybody's getting what they need nutrient-wise also. Good question.
Awesome.
And real quick, so with this last pen, the reason why calves are only on milk for about 8 weeks is because, does anybody know how many, and you can obviously answer this yourselves, how many stomachs a cow has? If you said 4, you would be correct, and it's actually 4 compartments. So it's really, really important that all 4 of these stomachs develop correctly. And so you don't want them on milk forever, because again, they are dairy cows and their genetic makeup is very different than a beef cow. So we need to make sure that these stomachs are developing at the rate that they're supposed to be, and that they're developing how they should be. So being off of milk, it helps their stomachs get to where they need to be.
Awesome. So Katie's actually transitioning over to where the adult animals are on the farm. Fun fact, calves would be the baby animals. Cows would be the adult animals. And she's going to head over and tell us a little bit more what they do to handle any sickness or a cow that's maybe under the weather at the farm.
Yep, so this is what we call our hospital pen. Every dairy farm has a hospital pen. And as you can see, it's separated there in the middle. Because the cows that you saw out in pasture, they can go out any time of day that they want. But what we want to focus on right now is this hospital pen. So if you can see on like this cow's legs here, she has some orange leg bands. That signifies that she's not feeling too hot and that she's on some antibiotics. Okay, guys, I'm going to bust a pretty big myth, a pretty big misconception that's out there about our industry. All milk, no matter what the label in the store, all milk is antibiotic free. It is illegal to sell milk with any trace of antibiotics. So this is how it works on a dairy farm. Like I said, this pen is just for cows that maybe they're not feeling very well, they got a bad foot, maybe they have an infection of some sort. What we do is we separate them from the rest of the herd. So their herd mates are out in the main barn, which we'll get to in a minute. But these girls, they just need a little extra TLC. So they are separated from the rest of the herd. They still have to be milked, because it's just like a human, like the pressure builds up and you have to get the milk out of them. But we want to make sure these girls are in tip-top shape. So because they're separated from the rest of the herd, if they are on antibiotics, that milk is dumped down the drain. We cannot sell that milk. Milk is tested 17 times from the time it leaves my farm until it gets to the store, and that's every dairy farm, not just my farm. So it's tested 17 times. Milk is never touched by human hands ever. And milk is actually one of the highest regulated foods on the market. So you can be sure that what you're buying, I don't care what dairy product you're buying, it is safe to eat and there's no antibiotics in it whatsoever. Again, it's illegal. It's tested. If there's any trace of antibiotics found in the milk, we are fined and we have to dump our entire trailer load of milk, which is not cheap, and no dairy farmer wants to do that. Also, dairy farmers actually get incentives for producing the highest quality milk. So it's common sense that we're going to produce high quality milk, and that means no antibiotics. So we really try not to give antibiotics if we don't have to. It's our last resort. I do want to show you what we do give them. The aspirin is just like the aspirin you and I take. However, it's just in a little bigger form. This is a cow aspirin. You can see that in the palm of my hand. And one cow gets 6 of these. So you might be asking, okay, well, how do you know if a cow needs aspirin? Well, we always take their temperature, just like you would get at the doctor. We also have a stethoscope, so we're listening to not only their heartbeat, but we're listening to their stomachs. Did you know their biggest stomach, the rumen, makes a thunderstorm type sound? So if I don't hear a thunderstorm, I know that that cow's not feeling very well. So this is just plain aspirin, same aspirin you and I take. You just get 6 of these. And they're like kids. They don't like pills. They don't like taking medicine, but it's not an antibiotic. So we always try to go a different route before we have to resort to an antibiotic. So we really don't use them very much here at Cow Comfort Inn because, again, if we do use them, we can't sell that milk. It is illegal. That milk is dumped down the drain. We cannot use it. So cow health on any dairy farm is top priority. Every dairy farmer has to work with a veterinarian, and you have to have a signed contract with that veterinarian. So we have actually 2 vet practices that we work with. We have them on speed dial. They're here anytime we might have a problem with somebody having a baby. And we have to consult with them when we do our protocols and vaccination schedules and things like that.
Awesome. So Katie's actually going to transition over into the milking parlor area and the milk house, which is where they store the milk before it's shipped to the plant. Unfortunately, at Cow Comfort Inn Dairy, they milk pretty early in the morning and pretty late at night. So they're not milking cows right now. So we have a really nice pre-recorded video that Katie did to show us the milking process.
Here at Cow Comfort Inn, we milk 350 cows 2 times a day, and we milk at 5 in the morning and then 5 at night. So we are on the 2nd milking tonight. So let's go see where they're at. First step is to prep them. We need to make sure that these udders are really nice and clean. What Angel has here is what we call the teat scrubber. That has a sanitizing solution in it that is making sure that these teats are nice and sterile. Angel, un momento. Ponente, por favor, el video. See up nice and close, and if you put your finger in it, doesn't hurt the cow. It actually feels pretty good. Muy bien, gracias. So this is washing all the cow's teats. It stimulates them at the same time. Like I said, there's a sanitizing solution that goes through there, and then he takes the towel to make sure he gets any remaining manure or dirt off of it as he can. Now before this step, we're gonna come over here. David is applying a foam that helps loosen the dirt on these teats. And by the way, these are teats, okay? The whole thing that they're attached to is called an udder. We are in a milking parlor that is a double 12, which means we can milk 24 cows at a time. So these girls over here are starting to come in. Over here, these girls are getting prepped. So we're gonna come back here to the very first cow. You can see they're nice and clean. And if for some reason she messes them up again, we re-clean them before attaching the milker. This is the milker right here. These do not hurt the cows. Biggest misconception is that cows don't like to be milked, which is not true. So David is now attaching the milker. And the cow is comfortable, she's fine, she's standing there. Just like breastfeeding, you know, a lot of pressure builds up and they want to be milked. They line up to come in here. So now as you can see that milk? Now, all of this is computerized. Right here, this is the computer for each cow. So I can tell you right now, oh, there she's up 1.5 pounds so far, almost 2 pounds. Okay. And I can tell you which cow this is by this code. This cow is 4161. Let's see if we're right. Hello, 4161. So this milk goes through here. All right, goes through all these pipes. Now these pipes are sanitized after each milking, all right? Then they go into this thing. This is called a chiller. When milk comes out of the cow, it's about 100 degrees. So this cools it down to about 40. And then we go in here. This is what we call the milk house, all right? This is the milk tank where the milk will be stored. Our milk gets shipped out every other day. Right now, the temperature of the milk, as you can see, is 39 degrees. This will actually cool it down to about 36 degrees. I'm gonna go back in here. So as you can see, this line is being milked right now. These cows are comfortable, they're clean, they're enjoying themselves. This is all they have to do all day. They work twice a day, and then they get to go back to do what they want. Here's the next group coming in. They're very nosy. Now these girls will be cleaned and milked and going back to their pen. Now after this, I don't want to bore you guys, but once these milkers come off these cows, we make sure that they're milked out, and then they get this. This is iodine, okay? Just plain old iodine. And what we do is we put it on each cow's teat, and this protects them from any bacteria or anything that they might come in contact with out in the barn. So that's really important. That's how we keep our cows healthy and make sure that they don't get infected with anything and that they're comfortable. And they get to chill out when they go back to the barns. If you have any questions, don't forget to ask a farmer, not Google. Google does not do this. We do.
All right, awesome. So we're gonna actually hand it back over to Katie, who's currently in the empty milking parlor. And Katie, we did have a question come in during that video, and it was, why do you milk the cows twice a day?
We milk cows twice a day because that's how much milk they produce. They produce a lot of milk. So a Jersey, on average, they produce about 65 pounds of milk a day. So they're coming in here and dropping, about 30, 32 pounds in the morning, and then almost the same at night, which is, I mean, that's a lot of milk, right? So that's a lot of buildup. Some farms milk 3 times a day. It all depends on the breed that you're milking, what all works for you. We are in the empty milking parlor right now. This is in cleanup mode. Like I said before, milk never touches human hands ever. And our protocol here at Cow Comfort Inn is you wear gloves. The lines on your hand can harbor bacteria. We don't want that, right? Because the goal at any dairy farm is to ship the highest quality milk possible. So these are all in clean mode. So they go through a wash rinse, an acid rinse, sanitization rinse. We've got to keep things in tip-top shape. Did you know dairy farms are inspected every single year? We get inspected by our milk co-op, which I'll talk about here in a little bit. We also get inspected by the FDA. That is the Food and Drug Administration. So we got to make sure this is in tip-top shape because we are shipping a grade A product. Every dairy farmer is. So we're going to head out, and I'm just going to tell you quick, we do milk twice a day. Here at Cow Comfort Inn, we milk at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. It takes about 4.5 to 5 hours to milk each shift. And again,
Awesome.
That's 370 cows each time.
We did have another question come in, and it was on how much money on average does a dairy farmer receive? So could you maybe explain how you as a dairy farmer get paid for your milk?
Yeah, so perfect question in the perfect time, because right now this is what we call the milk house. So over here we have the big milk tank. This is what all the milk goes into. And actually right now it's empty. We ship out our milk every other day. So there's big tankers that you see on the road. That's hauling some milk. And so this tank holds about 50,000 pounds. On average, we are shipping every other day about 45,000 pounds. So as you can see here, this is flashing 68 degrees. That was a lot higher earlier because what this is hooked up to right now is the pipe that cleans that tank, right? We need to have a clean container to put all that clean milk in so that this product is still top of the shelf, grade A stuff. So when the milk truck comes, and I'll get to your pricing question in a minute. When the milk truck comes, this is the sheet that they fill out. We do ship our milk to Land O'Lakes. So yes, that's the butter. So anytime you see Land O'Lakes butter, our milk goes into that. So you can see here, today is the 27th. and the temperature of the milk was 39 degrees. And you can see it's pretty consistent. We need to make sure that milk is at a temperature where bacteria will not grow. And so we shipped out today, this is pretty exciting, we shipped out 46,088 pounds of milk.
It's
Now,
funny you say that, Katie, because I know Dave was in the office a few minutes ago checking the pounds of milk per cow, and he said that the girls are doing a good job.
They are. They love this weather. Cows don't like to be too cold, but they hate heat, by the way. And we'll get into that when we get to the freestall barn. But to get to the pricing, a lot of people think we get paid by the gallon, and we don't, because that's how you see it in the store. Dairy farmers, we get paid for every 100 pounds of milk that we sell. We call that a hundredweight. Again, that's for every 100 pounds of milk. So you can do the math, 46,000 pounds, divide that by 100. So for every 100 pounds, that's the price. So I don't know if you've heard, it's been in the news, that dairy farms are not in a really great situation right now. A lot of people are not buying milk anymore. And that's because people are getting their information from other sources other than farmers. Farmers are less than 2% of the population, by the way, so we have a very small voice. So back to the pricing. We get paid depending on markets. We are at the mercy of markets. We can't go out and say, hey, I want $50 per hundredweight. Not going to happen. What it is based on is two things. One is exports. As a whole, the dairy industry in the US, we export about 17% of total milk production overseas. Our number one importer is Mexico, and our number two importer is China. And so, just to give you a really quick differential here, back in 2013, awesome record milk price year for dairy farmers. We were getting, on average, about $30, depending on your breed again, about $30 per 100 pounds. That was amazing. Right now, we're getting about 17. That's a huge drop. And our expenses still stay the same. Did you know it costs a dairy farmer, here at Cow Comfort Inn, it costs us about $25,000 a month just to feed our cows. The next biggest thing would be our labor. Here at CCI, we have a team of 6 people. That doesn't even include Dave and I. And we have to pay those 6 people. They help take care of these cows every day. They help ship this wonderful product that is super nutritious for you. And so anyway, that's expenses, part of that. So I said exports, and the other thing that it plays a role into price is domestic demand. So like I said, not a lot of people are drinking milk anymore. People are getting their information from celebrities who, by the way, have never stepped foot on a dairy farm before, hence my hashtag Ask a Farmer, not Google. So different things play into it. So I hope I answered your question about price. We, again, are at the mercy of the markets. So do us all a favor and buy a gallon of milk, buy some cheese, yogurt, you know, one of those. And by the way, all those dairy products, this tank, when it holds milk, that is the raw product, right? That is the raw milk product that goes to the milk tank. That is what makes all of those nutritious dairy foods like ice cream and yogurt and butter and cheese and all of that. So you can be rest assured that all of that is super nutritious. If you need more info, go to dairygood.org. It'll tell you everything that is in milk. There's 9 essential nutrients in dairy that you can hardly find in any other food combined.
Awesome.
And
so Katie's headed on her way to the cow barn where all the cows get to live their best life and chill out. But I want to just give you all a fun fact. So Katie said her jerseys are producing around 60 pounds of milk a day. That's about 7 gallons a day, to put in perspective for everyone out there in terms of what you buy in the store. So it's pretty impressive that these ladies can crank out that much milk. So it looks like Katie's at the freestall barn, and so I'll let her take it away.
All right, so we are at what we call a freestall barn. So a freestall barn is honestly what it sounds like. Cows are free to do whatever they want. We have to put them in separate groups because that is dependent on their lactation. So where they're at in their lactating cycle. So you can see that we have the fans. They are not on right now because all of our fans are on thermostats, which means once the temperature hits a certain degree, here at CCI at 68 degrees, those babies come on, as well as sprinklers. Sprinklers come on too. Cows hate heat. They experience what we call heat stress. So when cows get really hot, they're like, I don't want to work as hard, and their milk production goes down, which isn't good because, again, farmers get paid on how much milk we ship. And you're going to see some different breeds in here. Most of them are brown. Most of them are jerseys. But you're going to see a couple other breeds like this one. This one's actually a cross between a Holstein, the black and white cows, and a Jersey. And so As we go down through here, I'm going to talk about the feed first. So what's in front of them right now is what we call a TMR, or a total mixed ration. So I get a lot of questions of, well, what do your cows eat? This is like a casserole, really. I mean, when you make a casserole, you're putting everything together, right? This is the same thing. So we're putting corn in here, we're putting hay in here, cottonseed sometimes. There's a mineral package here. Would you like me to hand feed you? These girls are so spoiled. There's so many different things in here, and it all depends on what they need. This is such a huge science. Farmers work with what we call a nutritionist, or what you would call a registered dietitian. So they come in here, we have our nutritionist come in here about twice a month, make sure that these girls are getting the nutrients that they need. One, not only just to produce the milk that they produce, but also to sustain healthy pregnancies, to make sure that they're in tip-top shape. Now, here's a cool thing that we just started doing. We started getting some food scraps. This is all fruit. I call this the fruit bowl. This is all scraps, things that, us humans don't eat. And we've got, pineapple, we have some cantaloupe, I love it when there's avocados because they're so good and I still eat them. Watermelon sometimes. There's so many things in here. This is food waste, guys. And you know what? This would actually end up in the landfill, but we get a load of this about twice a month, and we can put this in the ration. So here we are taking food waste, recycling this. These girls love this. Oh my word. And if you look hard enough, excuse me, can I, thank you. Here is, I think this was a lime. They love this. They go nuts for this. So it's all mixed in this casserole. So it's just really, really cool that we're able to take this food waste and divert it. Instead of going into the landfill, we can feed it to the girls. So why are we feeding them fruit? Fruit actually, as you might know, has a lot of sugar, which sugar equals energy for cows. So it's a really, really good source of nutrients for them, for their energy. So there's so many different things in this TMR, and we mix it up sometimes. Sometimes we can't get an ingredient, or maybe it's too expensive, and so we'll substitute it with something else. As we're going down here through the barn, take a look at what they're laying on. What we actually do here at CCI is we take their manure and we recycle it. Yes, yep, I just said that. Yes, we recycle their manure. So we take it, we dry it out, and then we put it back in the beds. And it's actually a very, very comfy bedding source. I have taken a nap on it before. It is super comfy, especially when you're napping with a cow because they're really warm. So as we go down here, just look how comfortable they are. These freestars are designed so that when they do produce manure, it goes into the alley, and so we can keep their beds nice and clean. I joke that we have a turn down service because every time the girls go to the parlor, somebody's out here and we are cleaning their beds. And guys, here's a special guest. This is Miss Snickerdoodle. Hi, sweetheart. Did you come? She loves the camera. I know. She's definitely not camera shy, but this is my Snickerdoodle. She actually is halter trained, so I can walk her like a dog. It's fantastic. And you can see she's always hungry. She eats all the time. I know, I'm sorry. Cows, by the way, only have their bottom teeth. And so they really can't bite you. A lot of people think they can. So we recycle the manure that goes into there. They're very comfortable. Again, the fans go on at a certain temperature. Hoping, so I don't know if you can kind of see it, but they're actually standing on rubber matting. It's kind of like those anti-fatigue mats at restaurants. So we have that out here in the feed alley because cows eat up to 90 pounds of food a day. Okay, that's a lot of manure too, which we're gonna get to. And I wanted to show you a really cool technology that we have here at CCI. A lot of farms have this actually. This is a Fitbit. Yes, this is a cow Fitbit. We call them pedometers, but it's a cow Fitbit. You can see the number on there. So you ask yourself, okay, how many of you guys have Fitbits or something like it? What does it do for you and why do you have it? You have it because it tracks how many steps you take, right? Does the same thing for cows. Well, why do I need to know how many steps a cow takes? Because it's super important for her health just as well. By the way, I'm pretty sure Apple stole this from farmers. We've had this technology since the 90s. I had this growing up in my family dairy. So when it came out for humans and everybody was so excited about it, I'm like, yeah, not new. We've had this for a while. So what these pedometers do, cows take an average of 55 steps an hour. So everything is computerized here. Everything is transmitted wirelessly to our office. If a cow is taking more, like excessive amount of steps, say like 200 steps an hour, that means she's in heat and she needs to be bred. So that will automatically show up on a report for us. I think more importantly, if she is not taking very many steps, maybe she's only taking 5 steps an hour, maybe she, it's way under 55, that means there's something wrong. That's a red flag. That means that cow's not getting up to eat, she's not getting up to drink. Most times she has a bad foot or one of her 4 stomachs hurts. And you got to figure out which stomach is not feeling so good. So we might be able to zoom in on one because every single girl in this barn has a pedometer. The other thing this pedometer does, if you saw in the milking parlor, I showed you the computer system. And so when they go through the parlor, they go through a wireless antenna. And so this picks up their number, and I can tell you right away if a cow is sick. If say this girl here goes in the morning and she produces 35 pounds of milk in the morning. She comes in tonight and she only gives me 15. Huge deviation, right? Huge red flag. That tells me, hey, Katie, this cow isn't feeling very good. You should probably go check her out. So we have a computer system that every single morning at 5 a.m., a computer system generates a report for us to tell us who is oversteps and understeps. It's a great management tool. Farmers love technology. I think a lot of times we get people think that we're like these rednecks that don't know technology. We've had more technology than most people do. We're early adopters of it. This one's going backwards, but I just wanted to show you, this is our alley scraper. You can see that the floors are pretty clean. The cows are not trudging through a lot of manure. This thing is like a squeegee. All it does all day long, every day. Right now it's headed back up to the beginning of the barn, and once it gets up there, it'll put the wings down in the middle and push manure out. So these cows are never walking in manure because, again, they produce a lot because they eat a lot.
Katie, we did have a question come in reference to the total mixed ration you feed. It says, what are some food substitutes for cows? So maybe just go through some of the different things that farmers might feed to make up a total mixed ration, because it can vary.
Sure, yeah. So, I mean, you have your I want to say the common crops, so like your corn, your hay, alfalfa, wheat, things like that. We have been known to, farmers can feed candy. We feed pretzels. Pretzels is a really good carbohydrate. Sometimes cows need salt. You all need salt in your diet. Cows are the same way. So we've fed pretzels before. I love getting the chocolate because it smells really good. Also, another thing that we like to get when it's available is citrus pulp. And that is the pulp and the rind from oranges and grapefruit. And that obviously comes out of southern states like Alabama and Florida. So we get that citrus up here, the cows go nuts for it. That's why when there's any oranges in the fruit bowl that we feed, they kind of fight over it. So I hope that answered your question. I am going to dive a little bit into GMOs. So there's a lot of controversy about GMOs, and GMO, if you didn't know, stands for genetically modified organism. For some reason, it's also been coined as frankenfood and has a very bad connotation. Most farmers are pro-GMO because it helps us improve our farms. It helps us improve the health of our animals, the health of our crops. So Emma, I don't know if you want to pull up that GMO infographic right now. Okay.
Yep, we're going to pull it up, and it has some good information as GMOs pertains to a cow's diet for everyone.
Right. So if you can multitask, look at that, but also listen to this really cool comparison. I often ask people, what does a cactus not need much to grow? Think about that. What does a cactus not need much to grow? If you said water, you would be correct. So if we can take the gene out of, so we take the DNA of the cactus, we take that gene out that they don't need a lot of water, and we put that in a corn plant. Now we have drought resistant corn. Now I can grow corn, and if we have a drought, I'm not going to worry as much if we don't get enough rainwater, that I'm still going to have a crop for my cows. Because if I don't have drought resistant corn and we have a drought, I have no food to feed these ladies. So that's just one example of how GMOs are very beneficial to farms. Another way is pesticide usage. A lot of people think the complete opposite. They think that, oh my goodness, farmers use so many pesticides and herbicides. Not true. Not true at all. So growing up on my family farm, my dad had a spray. He still has a spraying license. And one of my jobs as a farm kid was to take some chemical out to him in the field to spray crops. Now, we still have to do that, right? Because you can't grow anything without it being attacked by some type of bug or a weed or things like that. For 1 acre, and by the way, guys, 1 acre is about a football field length. So for 1 acre of farm ground, say we're spraying corn, for 1 acre, the amount of herbicide or pesticide that's going on that is a soda can full. That's it. The rest in that tank is pure water. So this is important because we can actually genetically modify these crops so that they don't need all these pesticides and herbicides, because we can breed them and they have the DNA to internally fight those things off so that we don't have to put this toxic stuff on them. So the amount of chemicals that farmers have used has drastically decreased over the years thanks to the technology of genetically modified organisms.
Yeah, and then just so everyone knows, because a lot of things are labeled GMO free, there's actually not very many crops on the market that are GMO certified. So corn, soybeans, cotton, canola, alfalfa, sugar beets, papaya, squash, Arctic apples, the innate potato, and the aqua bounty salmon are the only things available for human consumption that are actually genetically modified. So next time you go to the store, if it's GMO-free blueberries or strawberries or things like that, those actually aren't genetically modified anyway, or they don't have a GMO seed available to those crops. And a really great resource that Katie uses and I use myself on my family's dairy farm is gmoanswers.com. So if you have more questions about that wonderful technology that we have, you can find it at that website.
Yes, and I have a really good acronym so you can remember those. Again, there's only 9 plants and 1 animal that has been genetically modified and certified for human consumption, and that's CAPS, CAPS. And the numbers that go underneath it, because of the crops that start with that same letter, is 4224, if I'm remembering that correctly. Nope, that's off. 8, 9, 10. Anyway, it's on my I did a live video on my Facebook page. So again, Cow Comfort and Dairy on Facebook and Instagram. Actually just did an Insta story, I think it was 2 nights ago. I had bought diced tomatoes and on the can it said GMO free. And usually I put those things back, but I didn't have much of a choice because everything says GMO free now. It angered me as a farmer because consumers are being misled about labeling out there, because us farmers have nothing to do with those labels. So as a consumer, if you see a can of diced tomatoes that say GMO free and then you see a can next to it with no labels, and you're automatically thinking, oh, well, this one that says non-GMO is automatically better for me. There's no difference, because guess what? Tomatoes have never been genetically modified. Have they been bred to withstand some environmental things? Sure, but they have not been genetically modified. So that's false advertisement. And then I always step back and say, or is it genius? Because it's tricking so many consumers by the label.
Awesome. So Katie's going to now talk about one of their biggest outputs, but in many ways, it's one of their biggest resources.
Yes.
So she kind of talked about it a little bit already in the cow barn, but I'm going to hand it off to you, Katie, to talk about manure management.
Yes, manure. I love talking about poop. It's a reality on a dairy farm. As you can see behind me and over here, these are ginormous manure pits. Yes, that is all manure. All manure. It looks solid on the top. There is a crust that forms, but I guarantee you, if you would step on that, you would sink like quicksand. So it's actually one of the most dangerous parts on a dairy farm or on any farm that has manure storage. So a lot of people think this is waste. It is not. You never, ever, ever waste manure. This is one of our most valuable resources because, believe it or not, all of this manure has super valuable nutrients that help crops grow. So what we'll do, and as you can see, they're getting pretty full. And here in Maryland, you have to have manure storage. We are, we're just like everybody else trying to protect the Chesapeake Bay. And we do a lot of environmental practices to not even only just help the bay. There's a stream that runs right below our farm. So we're making sure that we're protecting that as well. So this holds over 1 million gallons, over 1 million. And so what we'll do is, you see that tractor here, we'll hook that up to an implement, and what it does is it'll mix it, so you have to stir it, and yes, it smells lovely. We stir it, and then what it does is we fill tanker trucks, and these tanker trucks take it out onto fields, and we spread it out there so that those crops are getting the nutrients that they need to grow. And honestly, if you think about it, manure is just recycled food. So you guys just saw all the food that the cows eat. So it's really just recycled food. I know it doesn't smell as great, but this is never a wasted resource. It's actually one of a farm's, it's a natural resource, and it's a very valuable resource.
Awesome. So with that, we're right on schedule to open it up for some questions. So at this time, we have been getting to some questions throughout the tour, but if you have anything specifically you want to ask Katie, we have about 5 minutes to do that. So while you guys are thinking and submitting those questions, I'm going to look at some of our pre-tour questions that came in. And one of the questions that came in was, what is sex semen? And how do you use that on the farm?
So sexed semen is a new technology. I shouldn't say new because it's been out for a while, but it allows us. So sex semen is semen that has been sexed. So it is semen that we can actually, and we don't do it obviously on the farm. Semen companies do it. They can take that semen and they can separate it into heifers and bulls, females and males. So we do utilize that here at Cow Comfort Inn. It is more expensive because of the technology. You're paying for that to be pre-sorted. But when we buy sexed semen, that means that we are about 88% guaranteed to have a heifer calf, to have a female calf. And that's what you want on a dairy farm. A lot of people don't like that because they're like, oh, well, what do you do with your bulls? Well, we don't, this is a dairy farm. You can't milk a bull. They're males. So we want heifers. We don't want the bull calves. So I hope that explained the sexed semen. It's a really cool technology.
Yeah, awesome. That's perfect. We have a bit of a fun question coming in. Is it true a cow will lay down if bad weather is coming?
No, that's an old wives' tale. It is an old wives' tale. When bad weather is coming, they can sense it, but they just come right back in the barn because they know that they have pretty great facilities to chill out in. And that's a good leading question because as you see the cows out in pasture, we leave that gate open all the time. And as you can, yeah, there's a lot of cows out today, but in any other weather, usually, you know, especially when that temperature is above 68 degrees, you will not find a cow outside. They are always inside because we have fans going and we have sprinklers going. It's a lot. It's very comfortable inside the barns.
Awesome. And then a question I have for you, Katie, is what led you to choose to be a dairy farmer?
Well, when you grow up on a dairy farm, you can't beat the life. I mean, I had the best childhood a kid can ask for. To answer your question, I mean, it's taking care of the crops. It's taking care of the cows. These cows are our family. And I'm not just saying that for us. It's every dairy farmer. And to know that when I go to bed at night, that these girls, I know that they're happy, they're healthy, they're in great health because of what we do every day to make sure that they're living their best life. That's what keeps me going. And I grew up in the fields growing up. My family has a large dairy farm, and so I was always in the fields. And just to see, the corn grow that was planted by you or a family member, it's just a really great feeling. And honestly, the biggest thing is to know that the product that we produce, that we have these cows produces nutritious food for families. So we get to feed families, and we're at the start of it all. We're at the origin of providing this awesome food for you guys to consume.
Awesome. As I'm sure everyone can tell, Katie's pretty passionate about farming. All right, 2 more questions coming in. Why do you have mostly jerseys?
We have mostly jerseys. So I joke and I say I married my husband because he had jerseys, because he did. So jerseys are your second most popular breed. The first popular breed is what you guys all know, the black and white Holsteins. We milk jerseys, one, because of their butterfat content. So while Holsteins produce the most amount of milk, jerseys produce the most amount of butterfat. The milk, if you would just pull it right out of the tank, it looks like a vanilla milkshake. That's how much cream is in it. So we actually get paid a little bit more because there's more of a demand for products like ice cream and butter, things that have more fat content. Also, jerseys' personalities are amazing. They are super curious. They'll just come up, they'll pickpocket you. I'm not lying, they will. They're very curious animals, and we just love them.
Awesome. And then another question came in. What happens to the cows when they become too old to produce milk?
So we have a saying here at Cow Comfort Inn, check out. So they check in as a 2-year-old, because that's about what age they are when they start producing milk. Check out is at change of career or retirement. So change of career means they go from making milk to making beef. It is the reality. Some people don't like that. But when cows are at the end of their life cycle, they're going for, it's the hamburger that you're getting at like Burgers and Wendy's. It's good stuff. We do eat our own beef here because we know what goes into it. We know the origin of everything. So that's the checkout part of it. And when I say retirement, I'm only allowed to have one retired cow at a time, because you have to remember, farming is still a business. We don't just do this just to, I mean, people have a fantasy idea of farming. This is still a business. So I'm allowed one retired cow at a time. I currently don't have one because my last one, Cutie Patootie, she passed away of old age. She was 10 over the summer. But just a real quick, why I'm only allowed one retired cow. Cutie wasn't paying her rent. She wasn't producing milk. She wasn't giving us a baby. So she was a freeloader. The rest of these girls are paying their rent, right? So they're producing milk. They're paying for the room and board. So when a cow is at the end of their productive lifestyle, that they make that change of career. Good question.
Awesome. So that actually brings us to the end of our tour today. I know everyone else still has the rest of their school day to finish. I'd like to thank Katie, and if Katie, you have any last words for our attendees today?
Just want to thank you all so very much for joining us on here. Congrats to you for signing up for this. Like I said, 2% of the population are farmers, and we need to get this message out that we're not bad people and we love what we do, and we're just trying to feed your family. So if you have any questions about what we do, especially after this, I know some questions come up, ask a farmer, not Google. Not Dr. Oz, not celebrities. That's a hashtag I use all the time. If you want to reach out to me personally, please look us up on Facebook and Instagram. The name is Cow Comfort and Dairy. You can DM me, let me know. And thank you so much for joining in. And I hope you really enjoyed this, because I did.
Awesome. Thank you, Katie. With that, if you have any more questions or want any more information, you can look us up at AmericanDairyAssociation.com. And for future tour dates, make sure you stay tuned to our website, as we will update those with tour dates for the fall. Thank you, everyone.